Dave the Sign Guy here, and today we're going to talk about the new Ender 3D I just got. If you've been following me, then you know I've already got a CR10 3D printer, and it's a great printer. I've only done a few modifications to stabilize the machine, and other than that, not much. It prints really well right out of the box, but it's mostly good for, the more brittle filaments like PLA and ABS, and I want to move on to carbon fiber nylon. And I figure the best way to do that is set up a machine just to run that particular filament. So that's what we're going to do. So this video may run a little longer than my standard video, so let's get right to it. First thing we're going to do is unbox this bad boy. This is the first time I've ever done one of these unboxing videos, but I figured, what the hell? Might as well see it from the very beginning. Alrighty, so this is the Ender 3. Comes very well packed, lots of foam. We can see the machine right out the bat. Instructions. Yep, that looks like the control board. Yep, exactly what that is. That right on the instructions. Cross member. Let's see, is it ready to come out already? Wow, looks like it may be all ready to come out already. Let's see, let's give it a lift. All right, well, maybe not. Let's see how. Yep, right out of the box. And set that aside. Got our power unit. Oh, I don't like how that's sitting on there. It seems a little loose. I guess maybe that's a little bit of gappage on the end here. Not quite sitting straight. I'm not crazy about that. I'm gonna have to see if there's something I can do. Like everything was just shoved in here to a degree. But we'll take a look at that on the power supply. And you know what we're gonna do? Right now, we're gonna go ahead and switch this power supply to the 110 for American style plugs. All right, so you got your putty knife, one of the rail guides. Let's see, miscellaneous parts and wrenches and a little bit of filament, other things like that. Let's see, what do we got here? This is a couple more crossbars, driver stepper motor, power cord, and the filament holder. And I believe that's it. Doesn't look like anything else in the box. So let's move that aside. And looks like the machine just comes right out. Yep. Everything kind of hanging there. One of the wheels, adjusting wheels, wasn't put on all the way. So I'm going to screw that on right quick so it doesn't come up missing. All right, and we got another carriage. Okay, so let's set this box aside. And let's put everything here where you can see all the different parts. Yeah, there we go, power supply. Control board, and instructions. So let's go right to the instructions, shall we? Well, they give you some nice full color instructions. That's nice. Yeah, it gives you a list of all your parts. and then gets right into telling you what you need to put it together. So colorful, looks pretty easy to follow, several steps. So yeah, I'm liking that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set those right here, and we're going to build right here. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. Actually, I'm going to put the instructions right off to the side of my build platform here where I want to build this thing. I think that'll be nice. All right, so let's get into building, shall we? Right out the gate, they're going to get us started with the base, which is this part right here. Now, this is my first time putting together one of these machines as far as the Ender style machine with so many more parts. So you'll be taking this ride with me as if, you know, anybody who's ever bought one of these machines for the first time going through putting one of these together. Now it looks like it's calling for 2 uprights right out the gate. So let's see if we can't get these out of this plastic stuff. I'm sure a lot of other people that do these videos probably have all this stuff unwrapped, but that's kind of unrealistic. You know, this is part of what you got to do when you're buying one of these machines and putting it together. Now, why did I decide to go with the Ender 3? Well, that's pretty easy. This machine's been out for about 3 years now, and there's really not a good reason for me to do this in real time, other than the fact that I think it's probably more fair to do this as somebody who's never done it before, so that you, as the people watching these videos, can see what it's like for a novice to put one of these together right out the gate. Now I have some mechanical ability, but again, still a novice. All right, so now these are the 2 uprights that it's calling for. And what do we got here? We've got, looks like 4 screws. Let's see which box those are, which bag those are in. A little worried I'm not seeing those right out the gate, but I'm not gonna fear anything that far yet. Yeah, there we go. See? No need to fear that right out the gate. Okay. Filament cleaner, your zip ties, woohoo! Well, they give you some nice snips. Okay. So those are 6 of those. 4 of these are getting used right out the gate. I'm assuming it's these longer ones. Yes, no. Well, I should read and see which ones. MC, M5X, M5. Okay, so I gotta assume that these are the ones they want you to use because they're pretty long and it looks like you would need a longer screw to go in there. All right, so we got those. All right, let's see, they're showing this facing me to the left, and which means this particular upright will go on this side because it has 2 holes right here. So that's the left side, and the one with the 2 holes to the left, and apparently this is a hair shorter. No, so saying this with the 2 holes at the bottom goes to my left. So we're going to take 4 screws, a couple of the tools they provide, which I believe is going to be this one. Absolutely. They give you a nice ball end Allen wrench, which is really nice to get at those little odd angles. So that's really good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to step it over to its side here. I'm going to shove this up in here and just get it started. And those holes again were to the left. Keep double checking. So yeah, I got this particular Ender 3 because it's already been out for several years and it's rated by everybody on YouTube, which I use YouTube a lot for doing my research. I'm not much of a reader, but I really like being able to watch videos to figure out how to do things I've never done before and such. And a lot of the videos I watch, they really like this Ender unit. Now, this is the bare bones one, if you will, the straight up Ender 3, not the Pro or the Ender 3S or all those different models. So, and the reason why I went that direction, or this direction, is because I do plan to do a lot of upgrades to this. But the first thing we're going to do today is just get her built and running. And then we're going to do a separate video on the upgrades I'm doing, because this is going to be a machine I use to print just Nylon X carbon fiber filament. I want a dedicated machine for that because I don't want to keep messing with my printer, and I don't really plan on doing really large parts in the nylon. So it's another good reason as to why I picked up this machine. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to do this as a 3-part video. This part is putting it together, the next, and getting it running initially just to make sure everything works from factory settings. But then the next video will be all the modifications, some I feel necessary, like the hot end and things of that nature, and others not so necessary, just to kind of keep things cleaned up and looking good. But we'll go over all those upgrades at the time when I actually get ready to do it. I've actually got about 90% of those parts in and ready to go, including parts I've printed already out of PLA. Now, I wish I already had my Creality set up to print Nylon X, but again, as I said, I don't really want to in that machine. I want that to stay my PLA and ABS machine. So, yeah, I don't really want to be messing with that as far as that stuff goes. All right, this motor's getting to be a bit of a pain just floating out there. All right, so now we've got those 2 parts on. We're on to step 2. Step 2, they want us to go ahead and put the control panel on the front, and that is using 2 of these smaller screws. Let's see if we can figure out which ones they are. It looks like 2 of these little chrome screws. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna sit those over here and take 2 of those, and let's see, those also are Allens, but they look like they might be a hair smaller. Yep, let's just go ahead and take all these tools out and sit them right here. Okay, nice. All right, so we're gonna put that in, and let me turn this around a little bit more. I mean, I have to do it because it's my first time, I'm trying to do this from a perspective I'm kind of used to. Let's see, I don't know where that's supposed to go, so let's move it out to here. All right, that's better. A few of these lines just didn't seem like they were in the right spot. All right, good. So hopefully you can get a better view there. I'm sorry, I probably should be doing this in reverse. Just worried because it's my first time and I don't want to put everything together backwards. All right, so apparently this control panel goes right here with these 2 Allen screws. So we'll just see if we can't get them started. They got everything nicely pre-tapped for these screws. This will be the longest video I've edited as well, so we'll ought to see how that goes. I think editing, you know, I got a lot of respect for these true YouTube creators. This is more something I do for fun at this time. I haven't done anything to monetize. It's not really in my cards to do that. It's not to say I wouldn't someday. I mean, if I got enough of a following, that perhaps. But right now, it's more for fun. I try to get as many videos as I can out. The crux of the fact of the matter is I do work full time. I own a small sign shop, if you didn't already know, based on Dave the Sign Guy. So it's hard to dedicate the time it actually takes to make these kind of videos. All right, so now we got the control panel on, and it looks like they want the power supply next, which goes directly behind the control panel. Now, to me, I don't know, it's a little worrisome just because of the way this thing is sitting on here, and I think it's pinched. So what I'm gonna do for a minute is we're gonna take this box, front of this box off. I wanna see what's holding it out from seating correctly, as it should, or as I view it should anyway. Because it's really, as I said before, it's sitting at an odd angle and it just doesn't feel right to me. So we're gonna open this thing up, and we're gonna take a quick peek and make sure that it's all sitting the way it should. I watch a lot of these videos where they're putting these together in 30, 40 minutes, and maybe some of that's just editing, but we're 10 minutes in. I don't see this being a 30-minute video. All right, so everything looks good in here. Maybe it's just the way the wires got pinched when they were putting it together, but I'm just gonna kind of lean things a little bit and see if we can't get it to seat better, a little more flat. See, it's still going down a little funky. Maybe I'm a little too anal retentive, but I just want it to sit better than that. Maybe if we take this wire, tuck it over. Wow, I'm just not pleased with that as I would like to be. Oh, there we go. Now it's just, it still wants to pop up. Gotta tell you, that's just, I'm not crazy. Maybe because it does sit like this, maybe once we go ahead and place it on the base, she'll seat better. So let's not take too much time looking at that and get her on the base, and maybe that'll make a big difference. I'm hoping anyway. These are some of the things you go through when you're actually putting something together, and especially things you've never put together before. So if you're watching my videos, or video, this one, for the first time, and you've never logged on to my videos before, do me a favor and give me a like and subscribe. You don't have to, but it sure would be nice. If you like and subscribe to these videos, it helps get more of my videos out there. And quite honestly, so I'm already making a mistake because I'm looking at it wrong. This goes to this side. All right, let's see which screws. It looks like 4-piece M5 X25, and I believe that would be these two right here. So M5-25, we need 2 of those. We need the larger. Oh, nope, I'd be wrong. Looks like M16. Can't possibly go that high, can it? Ho, Peppy D. So see, this is what happens. Again, I'm showing you in real time just for this reason. So didn't pay close enough attention. This bar, this particular one, is upside down. So that means I have to take it off and flip it so that the control panel can mount, or power supply can mount to it. So yeah, there's no such thing as perfect when you're doing something the first time. You just got to go slow and pay close attention. And even though I'm trying to pay pretty close attention here, it doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. Fortunately, you can go back and correct any of those mistakes all the way up to the time you power it on. So once it's all built, we're going to go through and just double check everything and make sure that we're not doing anything that once we put the power on will cause us any problems. All right, those two holes are lower now. They're on the inside as they should be. All right. Now we'll work on tightening these things up again. I never like to over tighten anything. I like to just snug it up. So when it's snugged up, you got it, that should be tight enough, especially with the little lock washers they have on these. Should be just fine. Some of the things I'm liking on this machine over my old CR10 is these base rails are 20 by 20 rather than 10 by 20. That gives it a little bit more of a robust base, I would think. All right, so we got that back on. So now what we can try and do is go back to the power supply and set that on here and see if we can't get these two screws in here at this point. So screw number, oh, okay, let's see what it's, that's not, okay, so that's not it. Which ones am I, is that supposed to be these perhaps? They look too short. All right, let's look again here. So it shows, oh, it definitely shows those smaller ones. I was looking at the wrong ones. Okay, no problem. So let's get those out of here. Pull all my open packages, unopened packages off to the side. So, no, that can't be it either. Which ones am I not seeing? Oh, here we go. Two M20, M4, M20, right? Yep. It really helps to look at everything in the directions. So I was grabbing the wrong screws altogether. All right, so that's not the right Allen wrench. That's probably the right Allen wrench, and it is. All right, set this one aside. Let's realign. Yet again. That's nice. So they actually lift the power supply a hair off the main base, which is nice. It's good and bad because, again, that gap is really annoying me, but we'll come in later and figure out something if I find it still annoying me later, and that's that gap I was showing you on the power supply earlier. All right, that's that one. And this one in all the way. All right, that's snugged up in there. Real good. So now, looks like we're applying, at this point, the lower end stop sensor. So I'm going to take all those things out of this particular bag. And that looks like it would be this piece right here, the limit switch as they call it. And coming down here, yep, 32 millimeter screw. And that looks like it uses a drop-in. Okay, good. So that's not too difficult. And this goes on the side I'm working on. So let's give it a little turn, half turn this way so you can see what I'm doing. And, okay, so it's already got the little screws in it. That's awesome. It goes this way. And it literally sits on the side. So there's the inlet. It's L-shaped. Am I seeing something wrong? All right, I gotta face it towards me for a minute, make sure I'm doing this right, but it looks like maybe they applied the screw holes wrong on this. I don't know. Let's take a close look. No, they got it. So no, I'm totally wrong. Wow, they show it, okay, they show it here on the side. Now I got it. Now we got it. We good to go now. Let's turn her back around. So this piece goes, it's rather L-shaped. So it goes right in here, and they're showing it right about there, kind of stopping right at the bottom. So let's loosen up these two Allen screws, because it's got drop-in nuts. So what we want to do is loosen them up so that they're loose to the point of near falling off, because that way when you place them in to the track, they will tighten and twist around and actually lock in as you tighten them. It's a really neat invention, actually. And you can feel it as soon as it locks in. It's a really neat technology, these lock-ins. All right, so that's nice. And on there, so that's the lower Z axis limit switch. And the limit switch, that's what actually stops the head, lets it know when it's bottomed out, so that you don't run it straight into the nozzle, straight into the top here. All right, that's snug enough. We don't want too tight. All right, so we're only on step 4. Step 4, we actually mount the, step 4, let's see, it looks like we mount the Z rod, the Z motor, which I believe to be this little bad boy, to the Z axis going up. That would be this motor. It's already got a little deal to put your rod on, your threaded rod. It's already got, it looks like it has a little thing to bolt right to the Z axis, which is nice. So we're going to put 2 screws in that, and it looks like those are screw specific. And that gets 2 of the M4X, M4 18P, yep, that's them right there. And that's gonna hold that little bad boy on. And that looks like a little bit smaller one yet. Yep, that's it right there. So we're gonna put this one in here. Now, it's not going together hard yet. I haven't had any real difficulties as of yet. Let's hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that. But looks like everything's going in just the way it should. All right, we're gonna tighten that just a little snug, not too much. Good. And now we have the threaded rod, and that comes in its own little protective covering right here. And that just goes right down in, and you have a set screw, and she's sitting in there good already, so that's awesome. So let's, nope, that's my littler one. Let's make sure the existing one is already good and tight, and it looks like it is from the factory, yep. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this one here. All right, that's the Z rod. When I'm not, well, that's got a weird, maybe my motor isn't sitting flush. We're gonna take a look at this for a second, because I'm not liking how that's better. Yep, that's way better. We're gonna tighten it right there. So my rod should be going straight up and down. You don't want it at an angle, and I had it at a weird angle. So I just loosened one of these two mounting bolts at the bottom, and now I'm just tightening them back up again. And now she's perfectly perpendicular to the Z rail there, if you will. All right, we're actually flipping the page here. That's good. And moving on. Step 5. It looks like we start putting together the, I think that's the y-axis. Is that the y-axis or is that the y-axis? Never can remember, but as long as we're putting it together right, I guess we're good to go. So it looks like we can actually set the machine aside for a bit. So let's do that. Let's get it right out of the working area for a moment. And take a quick sip of coffee, because that's our go-go juice. Now, we got 2 rods here to choose from. And, well, we can't really choose. It's a dedicated rod. And it looks like it's this one with the bigger cutout holes and 3 holes at each end, rather than this one with the 2 holes at each end. And I'm assuming that's probably the top rod. So we got that rod. Now this looks like, if I'm familiar with this, and luckily I am, this is the feed input for the Y and X. So, all right, so if I see these holes correctly, it sits this direction. And then this, and in this case, I'm gonna have to point it at me so I understand what I'm doing. So that's that, and that's that motor, and that's that. Well, I'm a little confused looking at it, aren't I? Be sure I'm looking at it correctly. That's your ride motors. How can that go that way? It looks like it would go this way. Or am I looking at it all wrong and it goes this way? So if you're wondering why I'm a little confused here, I'm trying to position this exactly how they're showing it in the picture. And how they show it in the picture is like this. And I'm not sure, looking at it, if it goes like this, how it would go on the rail this way. It makes no real sense. Oh, now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. So okay, so this doesn't run up and down this rail. This connects here because this is your mount, and whatever this axis is, this is your Z axis, yes. So, yeah, that mounts in this direction. So let's see what they're wanting me to do to put this together. Very odd. Oh, boy, that's a tough little area. So what are those? Those are the M416. That would be 2 of these, M416s. Grab the right Allen, good. So we have to reach inside, tuck these little screws in. I got kind of big hands, so that's not as easy as it might look, but so we'll press these into these holes, and there's not any real pressing going on, it's just pushing them into the pre-drilled holes. All right, good. So now this then gets placed directly over top, and you use your Allen wrench to get in there and preset these screws, hopefully, if we can straighten them out to a degree. Not working to the best of my ability here, but we're going to try. How did that one start? I can't tell. All right, I'm going to get a different tool. I happen to have some other Allens over here, so that's what I'm going for. There we go. I can get it started a little easier with that one. So the tools they give you are nice, but if you happen to have other tools to help you get this rocking and rolling, there's no rule says you can't. All right, now we can get that nice and tight. And what we'll do is we'll come back to the air tool. All righty, that's in there. We're gonna get one last crank with the longer section to make sure we got it good and tight, and we do. So there we go. That's on there just the way it's supposed to be, fortunately. And that's, oh, and they want you to go ahead and install the nozzle, or not the nozzle, I'm sorry, the input feed for the filament. So what we're doing now is we're putting in one of these little brass filament guides, and that goes right into this little fitting. And if it's all done right, it should just slide in, and it does. And they give you some nice little wrenches for this stuff. And apparently that's not the one I'm supposed to use. And that looks like a good fit. It's brass, so you don't want to over tighten it. Brass is a very soft metal, and you can tend to strip brass very quickly and very easily. All right, next we have another guide, a Z guide with the 3 wheels on it. So that goes on the opposite end, and it's fairly easy to figure this one out because there's even the other one. There was, what finally helped me was it's got a little oversized hole there, countersunk, and that's designed specifically for this screw for the wheel that sticks out. If you just drop that right there, she sits perfectly. So again, which screws does that one get? That gets M4, M4 16. Oh, but before we put that on, see, I almost made another mistake. We have to put the other track on, and that is the hot end. So the hot end goes on next, and it looks like this is, I got to pay close attention here. So if this is sitting with the filament feed up, okay, for the Z axis or X or Y or Z or alphabet axis, this will go on in such a way that it is pointing to the back of the machine once you have it mounted. So opposite of the filament feed motor. And it should ride up and down very smooth. Just ever so bit of friction and no play. In this case, it does. It runs up and down this thing as smooth as silk. Having placed that on there, now we come in and we set the opposite track motor, or wheel tracks, or tracks, or what do you call these? Bearing wheels, there you go. So yes, that goes next, and let's look up again which screws those are. Those are the which ones are they? Show me. Show me, show me, show me. M4-16, which I believe are the same exact screws we used earlier. So I'm going to put one here. Should be a little easier to get started since we already have done one. All right. So when you have 2 or 3 screws to put into something, don't put them all, tighten them all, the first one off, tighten the first one right out the gate, because that will just cause you issues later on. Just put them in loose. And in this case, once you get it in where you want it, you want to go ahead, make sure it's as straight as you can get it. Good. And then tighten them, because if you tighten the first one, you're liable not to get the second one lined up to the hole. So this will just help you get everything lined up a lot easier. All right, that's good to go. It's sitting in place, looks good. Let's see, does it look like the directions? And I'd say it does. All right, we got the motor feed on the one side. All right, so now we put the bearing on the other side. This is the belt bearing, And this is what the belt follows, or you can tighten and loosen a belt with this. And again, we got to go in and we have to loosen these two drop nuts. Bring them out enough to where they can sit where they need to sit in the other track. Good. And they will slide right into this side here, just like so. You can actually drop them in. And we're going to give it just a little bit of a tightening because we got to adjust the belt there. All right, so it's just lightly sitting in there because now we need to place the belt on. And see, this shouldn't be too big a deal. It looks like they got little knobs on each end of the belt, so that makes it a little easier. Let's get this little bag open. All right, bag is open. We are over a half hour, almost 40 minutes into this build. Okay, so they want you to run one end right to the motor. I'm gonna bend that up just to give it a little, whoops, help getting in where we need it. Come on now. Sometimes things need a little help. There we go, come on, there we go. Oh, as soon as I had it, I pulled it back. All right, so we've coaxed the belt into the one side. Let me turn her here and show you. If you look carefully, there's the belt with the little brass end, and there's a little notch, and this just slides right into that notch. Everything's preset so that you don't have to worry about pinching that or anything of that nature. So now we just want to make sure that's sitting on that Z, or on that Z, on that okay, good. That's right on the gear, good. And then it slides under, ooh, they should have, okay, yep, slides. Got to coax a little bit over the wheels, but once you do, it goes right in. Oh, look at that, that's beautiful. Comes right around the bearing section, which if you've left it all the way in, which you shouldn't be a big deal to get over into the other slot. So I'm going to come up close to the camera. Oh, I can't because it's connected to the machine. I'm not going to come up close to the camera. So what you have here is your belt that I just applied. It goes over the bearing here, over the gear on this motor, and it just slides into these two notches on each side. It's a really, really easy way to do it. Now, tension. We have to set the tension. Right now it's far, far too loose. So how we're going to do that, we're going to come back in, we're going to loosen these two screw heads. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take another Allen wrench, actually this little metal wrench, and I'm going to place it on the other side of the bearing nut. So I can just put a little torque on it to get that belt to a nice degree of tightness. Not too tight, should be able to turn it about a half turn fairly easily. So once you get that, oh, well, the other thing is you want to keep those nuts straight. So let's try it a little differently. How can we, maybe I should use a different Allen wrench and come from this side. Oh, that's much better. Yes, much, much better. All right, let's see that belt. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Got a really good tension on it. And all I'm going to do now is just give it another little bit of just a snug, because we don't. Now these belts, you may, I've never done this on my other machine. I probably should at some point in time soon. But when you first use these machines, these belts are taut and ready to go. But what you're going to want to do at some point in time is check the tension on that belt and give it an adjustment, a tightening adjustment. Now I'm noticing something here I'm not crazy about, the belt is actually sinking into the rail on this side, poking out on this side, and that's just because of the way I put it on. So I'm going to take the tension off of it again. I'm going to put my Allen wrench back under it, and I'm going to try and make sure this time that I align the belts better. There we go. That looks a little better. Absolutely. Part of that may just be the way the bearing's sitting. I don't know, but I really want those belts to sit as evenly as possible going up and down the rails here. All right, good. Don't know if it means that much, but the pickier I am about this stuff now, the better off I'll be. And again, these rails are aluminum, so don't over tighten those nuts or you'll be sorry later if you do. All right. Okay, let's see. So we got the belt on. We are on step 9, I believe. Yep, step 9. Good. So yeah, step 9, we actually add that axis to the machine. So yeah, beautiful. So let's bring this back over. We're going to face it to you. Now in the directions, they keep showing this part of the machine as not wired already, but this is already wired directly to the machine. So when you're looking at the motors and stuff to put this axis together, don't get confused by the fact that this is already wired in. They don't show it that way in the direction. So don't let that fool you if you can. Now, we want to go ahead and mount that. And how that works is it gets mounted with the nozzle up or down, the actual nozzle down, the feed up, and carefully sit it onto the upper guides. It's set perfectly right out the gate. And wow, okay, good alignment. Goes right onto that Z. Now we're getting a little tightness right on this side, which is a little worrisome. So I think what we're gonna do, and it's probably why you don't want to over tighten these right out the gate. So on the back of this where I'm at, those 2 screws for the tri-wheel setup, I have them too tight. They have to be able to play to be able to set correctly on this rail to the back. So if you give them, loosen them up a little bit, and there we go. Look at that. Beauteous. Now what we're going to do is it's set all right where it wants to be. Looks like that's all set nice. We're going to go back in and just give those a nice little snug tighten again. All right, so those are tight. Again, we just give them a little bit of snugging up, so you don't want those working their way loose. Again, remember all these 2020 rails are aluminum, so if you over snug them, you can strip them easy. So yeah, that's sitting in there nice. Got a good, let's see if I can, there we go. Yep, beauteous. All right, we've got that set in, boss. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So there's 2 screws on this Z axis that apparently you can tighten and loosen it about that lash nut, but I don't see it. Don't tighten it too tight. So yeah, they want you to give it a little bit of a snug tightening, but not too tight. So mine on this machine are already snugged up, so I'm not going to mess with them any more than that. All right, oh my goodness, we're moving along pretty good now. So now we put on the top rail, ka-tunk, and that's going to take 4 of the M5X25, which are these little bad boys. So let's set them in the top here. And that puts together the Z axis. Now I'm thinking before I tighten these down that I may want to, once again, loosen these two because that's going to change that Z-axis coming up. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to loosen this piece right here with the tri-wheels on it one more time because it may change the placement coming up, and we don't want to have any pinching on those wheels. It's not necessary because from the factory, the distance between the Z-rails should be exact top and bottom. So if I loosen this back up again, once I tighten the tops up, it should place it directly in the place it needs to be. And then that way, when I retighten these screws on this tri-wheel plate, everything should tighten right where it's supposed to be. So right now it's back to being loose. We're going to come into the top. I'm going to get just the end ones started so that they line up. Yeah, see that's kind of what I was talking about right there. That's a little bit off, but not too severely. Looks like everything's lining up pretty good. All right, snug, bringing those down. We're not going to tighten them just yet. We're going to get everything just to the bottom, and then we're going to snug everything up. All the way down. All right, good. Good. So now we're going to bring this last one down, and once it gets to the bottom, we're just going to put a little tension on it. Same here, same here. And same here. All right, that's all tightened up. Now come back to the little tri-wheels here. Let's make sure she's still, still going up and down nice. So I'm going to tighten this bad boy a little bit. Oh, wrong Allen. This is the right one. Now something I'm seeing here, it might have to do with the bottom. I'm going to go back, loosen this up again, because this one Z-axis rail has actually got a little bit of a cant to it, and I don't like it. In other words, it's actually in this way, and I'm seeing that one side of my wheel isn't making contact, and I don't think that's good. That can't be good. Let's put it that way. That can't be good. So we're going to loosen this up so that it can pivot the way I believe it needs to. We're going to loosen this one. We're going to loosen these. Good. Good. I'm going to bring it down to its side again. We're going to loosen these two bottom ones. All right, now let's see. Oh, it automatically wanted to straighten out. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to tighten this top piece first because they're nice and level on each other now. That's what we want to see. Good. Let's come back to the bottoms. Let's tighten those up. All right, I think that was the answer to that. So let's come back to this top. You know what I think I should do maybe? No, that one's pretty square, but that wheel is now making really good contact. So that's good. Yeah, let's go ahead and tighten this up. So that's all the way it should be. Now, I see a lot of people putting a dual Z-axis motors on these little machines. I gotta tell you, I thought about doing it on my CR10, and that's That's this right here. You'll see people put one on this side. They make aftermarket. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of update grades to this, but that's not going to be one of them. As I said, on my CR10, I never felt the need to do it. It seems to run, this bar seems to run true as can be on both sides. So on this, because it's so much shorter, such a smaller build plate, I'm definitely not going to do that. I just don't see it's necessary to run two Z-axis screws on it. So yeah, this will stay, that part will stay stock. All right, so now we've got the top on, we've got all the screws tightened up the way they should be. Let's make sure nothing's sitting under it. Good, sit nice and firm. All right, now we're simply putting on a couple caps, and I saw those earlier. Oh, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting close to the end on this. Amazing, simply amazing. We are not even quite an hour in, so that's not bad. And like I said, I mean, I've got some mechanical skills, but I've never built one of these before, so this is all fresh for me. I have built a CNC router, which uses the same material. I put together the CR10, although that was very easy. You literally took it out of the box, put the Z-axis on, and screwed it in, and you were pretty much done. This added just a little more work, if you will. All right, press the, and that's just little beauty end caps, and that's nice that they provide these because it's better than looking at the raw metal. All right, the end caps are in. Now we're going to move past the end caps, and it looks like we're going to put the feeder on, and that is this deal right here. And it will feed to that side, and actually they show it going on this way. So, whoops, see, sometimes things do fall. Let's see, which screws does that use? It uses 2 and then 2 nuts. Okay, that's easy enough. And those are right here, boom. And 2 more drop-in nuts. Now, if you happen to have a magnetic bolt that will hold nuts and bolts in place, I would recommend you use that, or even a magnet. There's nothing worse than, well, there are a lot of things worse, but it really sucks to be going and looking for some screw or something that might have gotten knocked off your work surface and not be able to find it. Contrary to my own words here, I did not do that today, and I probably should have. It just makes life easier keeping everything in one spot, not having everything fly off your table. So we're going to mount. They show a offset mount, but I think I want to mount it straight on, like so. Yeah, because then I'm going to, yeah, I think that's how we're going to mount this bad boy, because one of the upgrades I'm going to be doing, just to let you in on a little secret, is we are going to be putting on I believe it's called a Bowden Extruder, and that is the kind that feeds directly from the top. And so eventually we're going to flip this thing around and feed it directly from this right into the extruder. Things I've learned right out the gate about the Nylon X is one of the things you don't want to do is be exposed to moisture, or exposed to, yeah, basically exposed to moisture. Humidity is really bad, and there's a technical word for that. And I can't think of it right now, but apparently Nylon X carbon fiber really picks up moisture way too easily. Actually, I noticed, because it's facing you guys again, I screwed up. I need it facing the other way. So we're going to take this, right? Let me make sure. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Nope, I happened to put it on wrong the right way. All right, now goes your filament holder, and they don't use a screw on this one, which is nice. They just use it, just interlocks, so that's pretty cool. All right, now Step 12, the final step. They got us putting a bunch of stuff together. So doing all your wiring and such. So let's jump into that. I think the first thing we need to do is go ahead and put your filament guide into the brass fitting. So let me turn it around here, and there's a brass fitting right here on the Z axis, and you just slide it in until it stops. Now, I've seen a lot of videos where they talk about these little clips that go in here and how you need to print those off. Well, here's the beautiful thing. I think one of the nice things I like about the Creality printers is they listen to the YouTube family out there, and they've made quite a few improvements. And even though this seems like a little one, it deals with a problem that a lot of people have had with this machine, which is this tube pulling out as it's printing. Well, by putting in these little locks that go right between the two little gray slips on that filament thing, that's a technical term thing, it keeps the filament from prematurely sliding out, and that's not something any guy wants. Yeah, I said that. Okay, good. We're looking really good. It's got a little holder right here to hold the wire. Another thing I've noticed that wasn't on the CR10 is on the heat bed, they've already attached a holder for this wire, if you will. In the past, and I haven't seen, this is the first new machine I've gotten in many years. In the past, this wire just hung there and could loosen the solders to the heat bed. And yeah, that's not something you want happening when you're printing, is that heat bed wire getting torqued on and messed up over time. Okay, so moving on, we're going to plug in E into the, let's see, E come around down. They don't make it easy to always understand what's going on. Oh, there's the power. That's an easy one to get plugged in. Let's do that right now. So we're going to come around. That's the bright yellow plug on the bottom. Boom, that's one less thing. Okay. Next is, let's focus here a little bit. Am I off camera? Let's get back in here where I should be. I need a sip of coffee. It's 10 o'clock here in New York time, if you're wondering why I'm still chugging coffee. Love me some coffee. Okay, so they're labeled pretty good on these wires. So that's nice. So it looks pretty easy to follow. First one is the Z, or what do they call it? Yeah, the Z. Plugs in the Z axis here. These wires are fairly delicate, so you want to be careful. If you got big old hands like I do, you don't want to use too much pressure when plugging this stuff in. You want to just do it just to get it in, and once it's in, there's a little tiny tabs on those. They don't always necessarily click, but once they're in, you don't have to press anymore. All right, some of these wires are already plugged in where they should be, so we're left down to 3 wires. And I bet this particular wire, because I've seen it many a time, plugs into our machine here, and let's see which one. It looks like, boy, they're not really descriptive on which plug goes where. I believe it's this first one to the far right. Or is it far left? There's the knob. It would be far left. It goes to the farthest one to the left. Okay. Another thing that I wish they did on this machine, and I see a lot of people do it themselves, and I'll be doing it in an upgrade video, is if you look and you can see carefully behind the screen here, it's just the control board, or the electronic board sitting out there in the open. And you know, you don't want to be putting your fingers behind it to turn the wheel and you know, touch two of ends of current going through it. Not that it might be enough to shock you, but it'd definitely be enough to maybe short the board. So we're going to make a cover for that as well. All right. We're getting close. It looks like we have only 3 wires to go. So that wire is already rocking and rolling. So let's see what we got here. We've got those wires come down through and they're all hooked up. Let's see where we got the E, X, X. Really? XX? X, X, XX. There's no, is there? Oh, I'm a bit confused. What's this wire that they've already got plugged in? Let's see. Why? Okay, because we like you, that's why. Oh, I bet. Let's bring it around. Now we're talking. So that little one is the one for the end stop. So let's put that in. And that's snug. Then we got, oh, that's Z. No, something's not right. Something is not right. Right? I don't know. X. Not very descriptive here again. See, now we're a little over an hour in, and it's just the simplest part. Plugging in the motors, apparently. Z. Oh, that's correct. That's X. All right. That was Z. Z was the motor. One of these is Z. EXX. I think somebody put an extra X on here? I don't know. I'm a little confused. Oh. Okie dokie. Let's come around over here. Now we're starting to, is that wire supposed to separate somehow maybe? I don't know. Let's see, we got Z is in, we got X and E. I don't know what E is, but this is X. So that's this wire, which goes in right here. There we go. Now we're getting closer. Nope, I'm wrong again. That's the extruder, that's E. That's this one right here, E. Good. Okay, there we go. That is X. Right? Yep. X goes down here. Now we're getting somewhere. We're almost there. Put it in the right direction. Good. Now this particular wire we're going to have to separate because it comes down to our stop for X. Now I understand. We'll flip that wire around and that's right here. That's that Z, that stop, that X stop. So when again the nozzle comes all the way down, let's double check. That's Y. It comes out of there. And so you have a stop rate. Whoops. So I'm just a little confused because we have a stop here and we have a stop here. Well, let's, again, Dave, look at the directions, shall we? So this is supposed to be Z stop, and this one is marked X. And X stop goes right up here with this one. A little hole somewhere. Let's find that again. I got to turn a little bit so I can see. There it is. That's your X. All right, so apparently that's your Z connector, but where's our Z stop? So there's one wire, and here it is, hidden off into Mars. There it is. Goodness. All right, so all we need to do is plug that in. Mine's in a little bit awkward position for my chubby fingers. All right, Z is in. There we go. So here's what she looks like from the front. And that was the last step, ladies and gentlemen. We've just put together in about an hour an Ender 3. I don't think that's too bad, personally. Got your clips, got your mount. That's smart. Well, you got one of those bendable build plates that you can snap on and off real quickly. So that's a good idea. Although I wish it was magnetic. I do think the magnetic ones are really smart. But in this case, I'm not that worried about it because I'm going to be getting what I believe is the Bowden glass for this, because apparently the Bowden glass is what you really want to be using. All right, now we put a couple zip ties on here. Keep everything where it belongs. Start with right here at the top. Put another one here. Whoops. All right, we're just going to put the couple on for the moment. Fortunately, I have more, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these. But that's all I want to put on there at this second. Put those in the trash. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do the final hurrah, which is to actually start the machine. And if she starts good, well then we are good. All right, I'm gonna have to come around your side of an extension cord hanging from the ceiling over here, so. Boom. All right, I'm gonna plug her in, leave her sit in your direction. She's plugged in. She's plugged in. All right. Oh, she came right on. Power button was already on. That's not good. I should have double checked that. Let's take the plastic cover off of the. Yeah, looks, everything's on. Everything is on. Although I have to say it's questioning the XYZ motors. So, do I not have the XYZ motors in the correct place? Would be my next logical question. Oh, God, how silly of me. So this is Z down here, okay. This is E, the feed. X and X. And Y you don't even have to mess with because it's already in place. Let's just see if it's because of the way it came on. Maybe it'll. The motors are all locked in. So what we're doing here is an auto home, which is probably going to crash on the table because I don't have it tightened down all the way. But this is what's promising. Let me just say, it went X, Y, Z. So it was probably questioning those because it hadn't been homed yet. So learn something new every day. All right, there's Z. We are locked in. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We are locked in. We have X, Y, Z. It homed. We built an Ender 3 in just over an hour. That's not too bad, I think, for not having ever built one of these machines before. I hope you like this video. I know I didn't do a lot of close-ups. I'm not really good at these put it together on screen thing with these smaller type machines and stuff, but I hope this was at least fun to watch and you learned something from somebody who's never, the point here is, I've never put one of these together. And I wanted to see, for practical reasons, how hard it would be in real time to put one together. So I found it fairly easy. Yeah, the machine is been on the market for 3 or 4 years already. I think it's just over 3 years. But everything I've read, everything I've, well, quite frankly, more so all the videos that I've watched, everybody has really had nothing but really good things to say about this machine. The fact that you can upgrade it almost indefinitely is another huge plus in my point of view. So that will be the next video, the upgrades I'm putting into this machine. So I hope you'll tune in, and that won't be quite as long a video because I'm not going to go through the process of how I'm putting all those on, just the fact of what I got and what I'm putting on. So this will be the longest video I do for a while. But I thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And this is Dave the Sign Guy, and we'll see you again real soon. Thank you.